Hi, my name's PJ Helfridge, aka Alexander the Toxic Mold Supertramp. I'm here to let everybody know about how bad toxic mold exposure, Lyme disease, and actually even root canals can be. I've got this mask on today, trying out a new computer, and it's not like my face has been changed to protect the innocent or anything. It's just trying to get the point across to how bad mold biotoxin or mycotoxin, however you want to call it, the scientists differ, but basically the stuff is so bad it can ruin lives. It bonds the submolecular level of anything it comes into contact with, and once you've been oversensitized or primed and you've had overexposure and hypothalamic damage, your MSH hormone, which regulates the immune system, can become severely depleted, causing many other issues that can all be easily discounted by many of the doctors that are out there, which most of which were never trained in mycology, and they don't believe mold can be bad because that's all they've been taught. But I'm here to tell you the truth about mold as I sit here in a tent practicing total avoidance, which is my attempt to totally avoid mold. It doesn't always happen. I mean, it does rain out in the desert. They're spraying chemtrails all over the place, all over the planet actually, and a lot of the chemtrails have toxic mold in them, mold spores, mercury, aluminum, and other chemicals. And there's varying opinions as to why this is going on, but one of them is we're running out of drinkable water. That's one that's been thrown up there. One is population control. Well, I don't doubt the population control too much after I ended up on Medicaid and Medicare with Lyme disease, toxic mold poisoning, and a severely infected tooth that was actually a root canal gone bad. I'm going to try and cut this up into 10-minute segments. I'm going to try and speak as clearly as I can. I'm out of water up here, so my throat's a little dry, and bear with me. My hope is just to educate people. That's all I have left really anymore. I was a videographer, photographer, audio editor, computer technician, among other things, and I always enjoyed making light of a bad situation no matter what happened. And it gets kind of hard now in this nightmare that I'm living in to make light of any situation. This is literally taking everything away from me and created a situation where I have to ostracize myself from the normal population, basically just to survive due to the toxin damage between what was brewing in that root canal for years, between the bug bite that I suffered in a hospital, in which St. Mary's Hospital covered up the actual incident and refused me medical attention, and the many doctors that disbelieved what mold could do to people, had no education, and even those that tried to help made things worse in many situations. And then loss of faith in doctors in general when I went to see someone I kind of idolized in a sense till I met him. Not that I hate him or anything. It's just personality conflict, and I know other people that went to him and had similar experiences, so who knows. But anyways, it all starts, God, it must have been from childhood. I was having a lot of issues, and sinus infections, chronic sinus infections, behavioral issues in school, learning issues, learning disabilities, or needing a different way of being taught, having tutors and stuff, all growing up, and always getting prescribed penicillin for a sinus infection, when in 80% of the cases it's a fungally based issue. Not knowing that back then as a kid, and no one would have listened to me anyways. So that was hammering my immune system. And then I think I was about 13 or 14, and the braces that I had where the brackets go on in the back molars, the number 30 and the coinciding ones, caused some cavities on the sides of my teeth and on the top, and it actually created like a weakness spot, like pressure points. And I hated braces so much, they hurt so much, and they were so bothersome and hard to clean that I fought like mad to get them off of me as a kid. And one of my ideas, stupid ideas, was to just say that it was hurting my tooth. Well, instead of them taking the braces off, Jerry Soler decided to do a root canal. And as a kid, it's hard to solidify this in the minds of most people, or everyone. Maybe this might be hard to believe, but I had this feeling, I had this sense as a kid that this was the worst thing that could happen to me, and you got to get the hell out of here. I ran out of that office twice, locked myself in my mom's car and refused to get out. By the third time, I was threatened, intimidated, and lied to by my parents into going in for the third time. So this butcher could basically leave a temporary packing in my tooth with packing gauze that became massively infected fast. And by the weekend, on that Saturday, I was in the emergency room because I couldn't swallow. I was having problems breathing, dizzy, severely infected from that tooth. And when the dentist in the ER took the cap off, pus squirted all over the wall, the ceiling, the light apparatus that they use to look in your mouth. I begged and pleaded with my father to have the tooth pulled, to not take me back to Jerry Soler's, but I got dragged in there for them to do the rest of the dirty work of killing my tooth that had nothing wrong with it, and burned my tongue in the process. My tongue was scorched by one of the pokers, and they had me so doped up on laughing gas and everything else that I didn't realize he had left the packing cotton in the second time. On purpose, he put it in. You do something once, that's a mistake, but to leave it in the permanent, any dentist I've ever talked to with a brain in their head, or that hasn't gotten sued yet, will tell you, you don't do that. Duh. So anyways, that was something that was planted years ago that I really didn't know enough about. And in 2001, an oral surgeon that was pulling an impacted molar due to a wisdom impaction told me I ought to get a crown on that number 30, and I said, no, I'd rather have it pulled. He didn't really want to pull it. Of course, they never do when they're that close to a nerve. I've got long roots, and they get very close to the nerve, and no one wants to pull my teeth because it's a lawsuit factor. Yeah, you know, that's the way it is. You know, they're basically programmed to sell you expensive techniques that might not always work. Well, we're up on the 10 minutes, so part 2 will begin soon.